Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, how are you doing today? This is an incredible week if you want to look at it spiritually, energetically, astrologically, astronomically, Schumann Resonance. Today, the Schumann Resonance was steadily increasing in vibration from 15 hertz to 30 hertz by the end of the day UTC time, which is well in advance of me. Or no, maybe it's well before me. I don't know. It's some kind of time travel. I don't know. It's just in a different longitude than me. That's all I know. In Italy, I guess, is where they register this. So, at least the one I pay attention to. So, yesterday was quiet-ish with a few peaks at 15 hertz. Now we're going back up. And ended on 30 hertz today. I have a feeling that tomorrow and the next day it's just going to go up, up, up. Very, very high. On the 21st, which is the day after tomorrow, will be another 333 day. The last 333 day was pretty intense energetically. So if you are seeing 33 or 333, it's significant. It's going to have a significant impact on you and your life this week. I looked up I'm still not on iTunes. I announced it that I was going to be on iTunes when I was on the iOS. I got that messed up. Oops. And I looked it up today and it says that I am now in the top 33 metaphysical podcasts of 2019 on Player FM. I love when horns go off in the background randomly when I'm saying something important-ish. But anyway. So yeah, 33, man. That's, so for me, maybe this is going to be something. We'll see. Actually, in my numerology, 33 is an important number. My month and date of birth add to up to 33, so we'll see. And then when I add up all my numbers together and then break it all down again, it adds up just to a 3. So it's important. 33 is important, and 333 is important, at least to me. So, yeah, let's see. It is expected by many, many, many new age people, light workers, light warriors, channelers, spiritual folk, including myself. We are all believing that, yeah, we're going to have a massive gamma ray burst, a plasma ray burst, hyper supercharged ionic particles of light will be blasting our way this week from the sun. Ironically, NASA also made an announcement of similar thought this week. I don't know what I did with that video, so I'm not going to quote it directly, but I did see a video on that from NASA, and they do expect a pretty massive plasma blast from the sun, solar flare. Be aware of that in the next few days that may happen. There was a psychic lady from India who is pretty spiritual. I did forget to add it on my feed on Twitter. I apologize for that, guys. I was having technical difficulties with the internet going out. Every time I went to do that, it went out. I will try to get that done in the next 2 days. So keep apprised of my Twitter feed at mermaidgirl888. Because this video is pretty intense. This lady has English as a second language, so she speaks very slowly and very deliberately. And when she does so, it makes it extremely easy to understand her and take in all the information. And I feel like she's sending information not just with words, but like concepts, along with emotions, feelings, energy with it. She speaks on 4 or 5 layers at once, so it's very important that I put it on my Twitter feed and that you guys get to see it. It's pretty intense. But she said that when this happens, this next big one that's going to pop us into the 5th dimension permanently, it's going to be the light, the energy. So much energy is going to be blasting our way. So much cosmic radiation that we will literally be blasted and bombarded with the energy of 1,000 suns. And that's expected to happen this week. I believe on the 21st of March, which is the spring equinox. That's another thing that's happening. And also what's happening on the spring equinox starting tomorrow on through the 21st will be the supermoon. It will be the 3rd supermoon this year. That is unprecedented. I don't think that's happened where we have had 3 supermoons. I don't know. I forgot to write it down, but it's been a long time, if ever. The biggest out of the 3 where the moon was the closest to Earth was last month, and now this month it's going to be slightly farther away, but technically still a supermoon. A supermoon is when the moon is rotating to or closer to the Earth and it looks bigger in the sky. I mean, I kind of wish the moon always looked as big in the sky as it does on ET, because that is like the coolest thing ever when the bicycle lifts up off the ground and it's going across this enormous moon. That was like the most incredible scene ever. And I'm like, when does the moon ever look like that, guys? Like ever? Like really? I don't know. Maybe it'll look like that in Cheryl's backyard when she brings down the moon. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool idea, right? If you could do that. But I don't know. I mean, George, he said he was going to last through the moon, right? And It's a Wonderful Life. Anybody? Oh, the supermoon is a full moon, and it is a full moon in Libra. It will happen tomorrow. I was so excited about looking at the moon today, but my AccuWeather app lied like a dog on a rug. I literally took a picture of my AccuWeather report saying it is sunny and warm in Cuenca with the background of rain. We had thunder and lightning, massive storm, massive energy. I had to ask my higher guidance, what the hell is going on? I mean, it was predicted, the weather was predicted that today was going to be sunny and warm, beautiful day. I was looking forward to being out in the sunshine. And a day started off slow and gray, and the sky, it was like one solid cloud without texture. You know, those kind of days where it's just gray and it's just blah. Just ugh. Yuck. Like, I don't know, it was just boring. Boring gray sky. Usually clouds are puffy and beautiful and ever changeable and moving in 20 different colors of gray and amazing and beautiful here. And today it was just like a solid sheet of, well, it's just like someone put a gray sheet over the sky. It was disgusting. No texture, no messages in the clouds, nothing phenomenal. And then I started to get ready for an appointment that I had today. And as I started to get ready, I had a distinct message, don't go today. And I'm like, why? Is it going to rain? Within 5 minutes, it was thunder and lightning and super loud. And it was pouring down rain on the sidewalks, on the streets, outside. It was crazy. And the cars started speeding up and going faster than normal. People started honking and yelling, and there was all this angsty, feisty, negative crap energy outside. And lightning almost struck me through my window. Came very, very close to the outside of my building, right outside my window. And I started meditating on, like, God, what the hell is happening? And God said, well, there was so much angry energy that the dragons in the upper atmosphere have decided to create a massive storm above the city and wash away all that energy. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. I'm definitely not going to my appointment now, though. Not in this angry. I mean, I would end up fighting with anyone I came in contact with. The energy was being washed from the top of the atmosphere all the way down and washed into the earth, where the earth is going to heal it. It's a really crazy day. Really crazy. So I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm staying home. I'll go later. I'll postpone the appointment. Crazy stuff. Like, man, I don't know. I made my coffee, and it seemed like time was somehow speeding up on me. Usually, it's like just a matter of minutes in between my first cup and my second cup of coffee. And, you know, just like normal, finish the first, and oh yeah, let's go get the second. It's so good. Oh, coffee's so good here. And I got to the coffee, and it was like, it smelled burned, like I'd been away from the coffee pot for an hour, and it'd only been at like 5 minutes. And I turned off the coffee pot, and I started thinking about tachyons. What if time was based on a particulate matter that we don't know about? What if Gene Roddenberry was right? And I started thinking about tachyons. What if the more tachyons you can gather in a space, if they are somehow magnetically connected to time? And I started thinking about it. It was like a weird idea that I had today. Oh, what if I gather up these tachyons, and what if these tachyons are, I don't know. What if I could excite them somehow to go forward or backwards in time on a really tiny small scale? Not for me or my body, but for my coffee. What if I could reverse time for only my coffee? In Star Trek, they're always mentioning things like, he's going through a time warp, Captain. There's been a time anomaly, Captain. So, what if this is real? I mean, Gene Roddenberry, he seems to me like he was some kind of spiritual master secretly. I think he was a Mason, actually. I don't really know, but I have a feeling he was, like a 32nd degree Mason. He did his work spiritually. That's for damn sure. He was studying something, somewhere. Somehow he was studying. I don't know if he was a Mason or if he got his system of learning somewhere else, but it is obvious this guy studied. So, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and a friend of mine told me that he was able to speed up time in his hands, in between his hands, with deep, powerful concentration. When he's living in the forest and he's trying to grow food, and the only thing he had left was like parsley, and 1 carrot. And he told me that he was able to speed up time in between his hands and imagine a time in which he could go into town and buy a burrito and eat it, and he sped up the time frame but only in his hands and created a burrito in his hand, and then he ate it. I mean, he might have just been passed out and hallucinated that. Who knows? But he said he was full-ish. He said he ate it, but it didn't make him as full as if it had been a real burrito he bought in real time, but it was solid enough where it kept him alive. Plus, he could have just been screwing with me. I mean, I know I'm like super interested in this stuff, so I tend to be really gullible sometimes. Like, I see this stuff, I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to believe it. You know? Goddess is alive. Magic is afoot. You know? I want to believe in magic. I do believe in fairies. I do. I know dragons are real. I saw one. I saw one in Peru a couple years ago. I feel them around me, and I know up in the sky in the clouds, I have seen dragon images here way more than ever in my life here in Ecuador. I know dragons are real, and I know they're here. They're invisible, but I know, I believe in this stuff. So but I don't know if you guys remember maybe a month or 2 back, I told you guys a story in which I put on my popcorn, came back and put on my show, waited for the show to load or something. Or no, I was watching a YouTube video. And it was like a 2-minute video. And at the end of 2 minutes, I went back and my popcorn had not even popped at all. But then it was on fire. So it went from the time sped up, the time frame had sped up so fast in my kitchen that in a matter of 2 minutes time or minute and a half, usually it takes a minute. I mean, I'm at high altitude, so it takes a long time for it just to heat up to the point at which one kernel would pop. And all the kernels had popped. They had all melted at the bottom and they'd all been caught on fire in like less than 2 minutes time. Something like that. It was like ridiculous. It was like, I didn't even hear it pop. And then I just realized that we were going through some kind of crazy time warp anomaly thing, that time was different in different places. And I know that when I lived in Guatemala, when I lived at the lake Atitlan, it was different. Time went really frickin' slow. And I asked the locals, they said it's because of all of the volcanic activity and the lava flows that create a really strong magnetic force, like a force field, which makes you feel amazing and wonderful, but you can't go diving in the lake too deep because it really affects your brain and your ability to think and ruins your memory for a while. It can erase your memory. I mean, I heard these crazy stories. I'm going to have to do a show on Guatemala at some point. Guatemala there's some crazy mysteries there. I did write an article for this magazine that I was hoping Art Bell. I submitted the article. I don't believe that Art Bell actually ever read it on the air. He read a couple of my stories, but that's not one he read on the air. But I wrote it for him that was kind of in conjunction with his show, his last internet show that he had. But yeah, Guatemala, man. There was a crazy... So anyway, I was thinking about this stuff. I was thinking about all this stuff, all of this stuff. And I feel like there's some secrets about time that are really, really easy to understand and very obvious. You just have to have the right information about it. So I put all this information together. I'm an INTJ, and I tend to do that. I gather information from like 20 sources and combine it into one thing, and I'm like, So I put my hands around my coffee pot, where my coffee smelled burned, old, even though it'd been 5 minutes. and I blew on it, imagining that I was blowing the tachyons away. And I visualized that. Do they even exist? Hell, I don't know. But this was my visualization. And then I imagined that because time is not linear, but rather a spiral, and as we go through time, we go up in teeny tiny increments, up, energetically. We raise our vibration, and that's how we travel through time. We incrementally, teeny tiny bits, raising our vibration higher to go through historical time. And to go backwards in time, you lower your vibration. You lower your vibration. And you spiral back down around. So I started thinking about it. I mean, even our DNA is a spiral, isn't it? There's some secrets there too. Anyway, I imagined that the spiral of time was inside my coffee, and I lowered the vibration of it. And within 30 seconds, the smell of my coffee was back to fresh. I blew on it again, imagined the tachyons again dispersing, and then I imagined there was a spiral of time inside my coffee, and I lowered it back to right when it was freshly made. And then I drank that coffee, and it actually tasted just as fresh as the first cup suddenly, even though a couple seconds before it tasted burned and old. I don't know. That was my experiment with my coffee. Time traveling my coffee back into the past so it's fresh again. There's a practical use of a completely, I mean, it's a completely crazy use of it, but I mean, there's practicalities here. There's practicalities. I mean, I've been watching this Apex TV at the Time Travelers, and they're all saying pretty much the same thing, that you can move time in a small space. Well, scientists did just do that, and I did announce it the other day, and I still haven't been able to do the research in order to bring like a whole show on it, but I will. All these different ideas as I develop it myself and trying to figure it out myself. I mean, I haven't been able to get red rope licorice into my hands as of yet, but oh, baby, that's coming. I'm definitely going to work on it because I'm a red licorice sort of gal, and I can't get it here unless I have Americans smuggling it in. Twizzlers or red vines or red rope licorice. I don't care. I love them all, and I can't get it. So I've been looking up recipes, and I've been thinking about grabbing some cherries downtown and popping them into some vodka and shaking that every day for like a whole month so that I can make the extract. Cherry extract does not exist here. Oh, it does. You could taste it. There's no flavor to it. It smells amazing. Zero flavor. I don't know why they even sell this in the store. It's ridiculous. So I have to make my own extracts, and then I've got to come up with my own recipe, and I want it to be wheat-free, so it's going to be like oatmeal licorice. Which sounds terrible, but I'm going to figure it out. I will perfect it. I might end up with a licorice shop down here yet. I might have an apothecary store with like licorice I made. I'll probably put magical purposes into it. Like, here, this is a licorice for love, or maybe this one over here. Eat this bite of licorice and it'll bring you good fortune or robust health. Good luck on a test in school. Maybe I'll be a crazy apothecary yet someday. Okay, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I had to share this crazy time travel story when I traveled my coffee back in time today. Pretty wild stuff. All right, when I come back after the break, I am going to attempt to contact 5 mages, magicians, alchemists, So stick around. You're going to want to hear this. Hopefully it'll be good. I don't know. I have to contact them, connect with them, and then channel their information when I ask them questions. I will be talking to, or attempting to talk to, AbraMelin, the Mage from Egypt, Nicholas Flamel and his wife Pernelle Flamel, and Emrys Myrddin, the very, very famous Welsh Merlin, the great wizard Merlin. And I will be attempting to contact not Nostradamus of the past, the way that Dolores Cannon's clients did, but Nostradamus, the spirit, after he has passed away, after he has the greatest knowledge, grandest vision of knowledge. Because, when you're up in the seventh dimension, you have a much better view of everything than when you are in the 1500s, right? So stick around and we'll see who comes through and if they come through, and if I'm able to channel messages for you guys, magical messages, because it'll be pretty cool if I can, right? We're going to try. All right. I'll be right back. Hey you, have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you could get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. All right, guys, I have already connected with our first mage of the evening, AbraMelin, the mage. He lived in Egypt from 1362 to 1458. Is that correct? He says, yeah, that's correct. There's an app you can actually get. There's several apps with his book of magic, his system of magic. It was put out there by MacGregor's hundreds of years after his death. And the book was compiled based on teachings from AbraMelin the Mage to Abraham the Jew, and he gifted this book to his son Lamech. So this was originally the book itself was originally in Hebrew, but the information was originally in Egyptian. And, you know, as people play telephone with language over the years, you know, I don't know. You got to take the book with a grain of salt, always. I don't know if it's 100% intact. And this was information that AbraMelin gave directly to Abraham the Jew. He called himself that. I'm not saying that. I'm not singling him out as a part of his religion. But in the 15th century, in the 1400s, Abraham the Jew made this book, and then it was discovered and put out there like, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 years later by MacGregor's. And then this book became a huge part of, well, the traditions of Aleister Crowley and the Order of the Golden Dawn. And in the 19th century, it became, in I think 18th century also, became very big. But now it's an app. I mean, we're in the 21st century now, and let's just face it, everything is an app these days. So you can just download this to your Android or your iPhone, and on the go, you can read the lessons. This system of magic is really intense that he came up with, and he created what is called the magic squares, or magic word squares. For example, if you write across a paper M-A-I-A-M, Ma-I-am, and then you use the first letter in the first M, and below that you put an A, so it's M-A-I-A-M below that, and then you create a pattern and grid of squares, the exact number of squares, and then there's a secret way you're supposed to discover on your own through meditation. You can use the Hebrew word for water, which is ma-I-am, and this is a charm to help you to walk underwater for 2 hours. Keeping in mind that, of course, in the days of AbraMelin, they did not have diving equipment. I mean, why walk on water when you can take the boat? You know, now that we have the technology, we don't really need this one. But it's pretty interesting that he came up with a way to do this. So he is known for, AbraMelin is known for also his deep and powerful knowledge of the Kabbalah of Solomon and all of the deep, powerful metaphysical magic that entailed. And he also became widely known as one of the best sorcerers and astrologers of his day. This is real magic. And again, he lived from the years 1362 to 1458. Almost 100. Wow, you lived a long time. He says that I did indeed. AbraMelin, may I address you? Okay. You were a sorcerer? I was, yes, he says. Now, when you were a sorcerer, I read in your book that you called upon the demons in order to bind them so that they wouldn't bother you in your work. Is this correct? He says, yes. You want to elaborate on that? He says, no, not really. It's pretty much, it's self-explanatory. In his day, they didn't there wasn't a lot of protections that were well known, and it was the only way he could do it in order to assure. But he says, my stuff, my magic was, he says, I was an experimenter and an explorer and discoverer of the unseen worlds and the hidden magic therein. There wasn't a lot of books written on it then. And he says we didn't have the technology that you guys do now, basically. So again, when I channel information from people, I want it to be known that I do not channel people within my body. I don't channel with their language or with their voice. They sit in front of me and I telepath with their spirit. So I channel the information to you, but I am not a direct channel. I'm an indirect channel. Just so you know, because sometimes as my own personal language comes through, you're going to realize that, well, AbraMelin of Egypt is not saying some of the words I say. My colloquialisms and my idiom is different. I have idiosyncrasies or idiosyncrasies in my own personal language that, like slang from California, for example, that he did not say. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, clear that up, because that's how I channel spirits. All right, we're going to continue with the interview now. Okay, so AbraMelin, you have worked with the demons? No. That is not to say that I worked with them, he says. I simply called upon them to bind them to the earth so that they would not bother me while I was experimenting in my work. And then I would call upon the angels. And I would work with them and ask for their blessings and protection. And I always tried to work within the realms in which God afforded me. Right. He's saying kind of along the lines of I didn't want to fly too close to the sun as Lucifer wished. And that was what his own downfall in doing. And that was a creation of evil, was because he wanted to do it all on his own and take it and grasp the power without allowing God to gift it to him directly. Am I right on that? Okay. So, what was your most favorite accomplishment as a mage and a sorcerer? What was the funnest part of magic, the joyous part for you? Well, I learned how to walk on water. He's just smiling, he's beaming. He said it was an incredible feeling. I wanted to walk on water the way that Master Jesus did. Well, he's calling him like brother Jesus or brother Yeshua. That's pretty cool, actually. So where did you walk? Where did you walk on water? He's like, everywhere I could. You went to the Sea of Galilee. He says, yeah, I did. That's where he went. That would be pretty cool. He says, I felt like it would be important to go to a place in which it had happened historically and everyone knew it had happened there. And so the energy of the story, the minds of people kept that energy there. And so he found that the magical powers, they were stronger in that place. Ooh, this is so interesting. Wow, very interesting. Okay, so what else were you able to do? So you were able to bring things to you like money. And you never wanted for money. No, he says, I never really experienced lack once I learned that I could bring it to myself. Now, did you do alchemy? Did you transform base metals into gold? You said no, that came after your time. As far as you didn't do it. Okay. No, you didn't do that. So how did you bring money to you? He says, with my magic squares. Are you going to explain how to do it? No, you have to discover that on your own. Very nice, very nice. So, did you only use the magic squares and words, or did you use anything else? He said, oh no, I used oil, incense. I wanted to keep a fragrant altar at all times so that my heart would always be sweetened towards the Lord and towards God. Always in all my work, I put God first, always. Everything I did with love, I did with humility and joy. That's wonderful. Oh gosh, this is really cool. Would you mind coming back and having a full show with me at some point? I would like that very much. Thank you. Thank you, AbraMelin. Is there anything that you would say to somebody in this day and age that would want to be practicing their own magic? Learn how to concentrate. Learn how to love yourself and have confidence in yourself, but always have that humility and being humble before God. My system of magic is not for everybody. Binding demons, wrestling with demons is not for everybody. But there are truths in my work that have stood the test of time, as you can tell if it's an app, obviously, right? There are some truths in it that the young working magician will find helpful. And that's all I ever wanted. That's why I recorded my work for the ages, and I'm so pleased to see that it went forth into the world and it flourished and it became a source of magic in and of itself, my work. He said, he was telling me that magic is all over the earth, but there are certain places that are just filled with it, like it has pools of the magnetic pull or the energy of the magic. And those are the places in which it's easier and easiest to work magic, where things have happened. Now, you mentioned earlier that Jesus walked upon the Sea of Galilee, and that's where you walked upon the Sea of Galilee. Did anyone see you? Oh, no, I didn't dare show anyone that I could do that. But you were able to do it. I was. Okay, and how Jesus... did he do this with magic? He did it with a great blessing of God. And possibly magic. But not with my magic squares. You don't know how he did it. No one really knows, yeah. It might have been a form of different magic. Just that he was a master of time and space. He can control the molecules and the atoms. He says that's as far as I understand it now. I mean, coming from a spirit perspective, from being above in a different dimension now. Well, I wanted to thank you, AbraMelin. This has been really fun and really enlightening. Thank you, Master, for coming to speak with me today. He says, thank you. I'm glad it was so. All right, guys, I am now connected with the illustrious and very famous Nicholas Flamel and Pernelle Flamel, his wife. Or I should say Pernelle Flamel and her husband, Nicholas. They're laughing about that. This is pretty funny, yeah? Okay, now Nicholas Flamel was born in the year 1340 And he died in 1418. So it's about 78 years old you were, yeah. He died on March 22nd. So this week is actually his feast day. So hey, happy feast day, I suppose. He's like, thank you, I guess. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know, congratulating me for dying. It's kind of weird, but the Catholics always make a feast day when people die. So it is a little strange, but it's nice to remember. It's kind of an individual memorial day. Now, Pernelle Flamel, I didn't catch when you were born, but you died in 1397. Is that correct? She says, yes, it is. Okay. Now, Nicholas and Pernelle Flamel are very, very notoriously known for having had been in possession of the secret of immortality, and people thought they were immortals. Also, they were known for being alchemists, and they had created the Philosopher's Stone, which is possibly a powder or a tincture. I know personally the Philosopher's Stone as being the 32 paths to wisdom in the Holy Kabbalah, as in the Kabbalah of Solomon that I studied. I didn't study the whole thing. I didn't go all the way through it, through my studies. I'm still a baby, a neophyte, as it were. But Nicholas Flamel is known for having transformed base metals such as lead or mercury into precious metals such as silver or gold. Now, in our modern age, scientists have discovered through nuclear experimentation how to turn lead into gold using nuclear devices, but it costs more money to do it that way than just to dig gold up out of the ground. So obviously, no one in the modern day or age really knows how to do this. But the legend of this, guys, came 200 years after their deaths. And it is being perpetuated by the likes of J.K. Rowling in all of her Harry Potter books, in which she mentions Nicholas Flamel. Because it is a marvelous story, and I'm here to ask you guys now, and I'm connected to both of your spirits. Nicholas Flamel, he says, yes. Were you a sorcerer? He said, yes, I was, and an alchemist. Now, how could the stories come out 200 years after your death? How would anyone know? He said there were manuscripts found and passed on by word of mouth, but they were destroyed. And now Pernelle says, but that's why the legend persists. That was only a legend, but there's so much to the truth of who we were, that our powerful energies from that time have persisted because we were powerful in our personal energies. Okay. Can you explain that a little bit? She said, well, we had health, robust health and charisma when those around us failed to be of good or practical health of the day. So, for example, you mean like when people got like a cold or a flu? She said, that's right, we didn't get sick. Why is that? Well, we were alchemists, dear. Listen to you. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, you were alchemists, dear. Okay. I would like to know more. Well, we played around with tinctures and potions, of course. Oh. And we discovered that various metals actually were good for health. They were good for health of humans, and everybody needs certain metals in certain amounts. And trace amounts, you mean? Like trace metals? Trace minerals? Yes, that's what she means. She says, yes, exactly. And so basically our health was based on our own research with these metals. Well, why didn't you bring this out to the world? And Nicholas Flamel says, no. They were not ready to hear this information. They did not know this information. because they just couldn't, it sounded dumb, taking rocks from the earth and eating them. Yeah, no one wants to be reduced down to a dirt eater. That's what Pernelle is saying. She said, no. They're like talking over each other. I love it. They're like, these spirits are lively and beautiful every bit as much as they were in their day. Okay, so she says, oh yeah, no, that would be like reducing you to a dirt eater. And my God, in Parisian society, you just don't eat dirt. Yeah, but you eat snails. Oh, she's like, oh, well, there. Oh, she's laughing. She goes, well, there, you got me. Like, yeah, you won't eat the dirt that the snails crawl, but you eat the snails. It's kind of crazy. I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of. Okay, a little bit. I'm making fun of French cuisine, just a tiny bit. She says, yes, but the cheese sauces were very nice. Very lovely. They're laughing. Oh my gosh, these are lively spirits, let me tell you. Okay, so Nicholas, were you able to actually turn base metals into gold? He's like, yeah, I came close. How close did you come? I made a little gold here and there. Was it pure gold? He says, I'm not really certain. He says it looked and seemed, it had all the qualities of real gold. And did it last? Was it like a magical quality and then the next day it turned back? Was it stable? Yeah, it was pretty stable. But did you make a lot of it? No, not really. All right, cool. What about silver? A lot more success with silver, actually. Yeah, actually. Now, where did you guys get your money? Was it because you're always constantly making money secretly? They kind of look at each other like, no. Pernelle is saying, I had the misfortune of having been married to men of ill health that passed before their times, and they did leave me their fortunes. So we had more than enough to live on, and our experiments, well, okay, they might have seemed frivolous, of course, but they were fun. We were playing in the universe, basically. That's the energy she's giving. We were just playing. Nicholas says, we were tinkering in the laboratory. And it was a great deal of fun for us both. Because we wanted to bring magic and mystery to the world, the mundane world. At that time, you have to understand, Paris was about fashion and society and showing up to the balls. But we knew there was more to life under the surface of what the average person thought. And we liked having our secret space together and our secret time, doing these fun sorcery things. Having magic in your life is always a beautiful thing. She said, for all the balls in the world, I would give them all up for me to know true magic forever. Wow, that's a powerful statement, Pernelle. Mrs. Flamel, thank you very much. And Nicholas Flamel, he's saying, yeah, I assess that statement, and I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. He says, I wouldn't have traded all those hours, hundreds of hours, tinkering in my spiritual laboratory, in my chemistry laboratory. He said, I wouldn't trade those hours for anything. If I had it to do all over again, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think that sounds really magical, actually. It sounds really like you guys had an ideal life. You had money and you had balls, and you dedicated. I did read somewhere that you guys gave money to the church. Oh yeah, why would they suspect us of any kind of sorcery or evil doing? She says, like almost like a finger quote, but not quite, is kind of a gesture she just made. So it kind of like, yeah, like, so I understand what you're saying though. Like, why would they suspect you if that And yeah, and the books were, yeah, okay. She said, okay, so the rumors of our magic spread secretly in secret societies. And as the years went on, people grew bolder. And after we died, then they just felt the need to spread it a little more loudly and raucously at parties, because then it became legend. Did you guys want to set out to be legends? She says, oh my, no. We kind of try to keep it secret, but now Nicholas is cutting in and he says, oh, we were so excited about what we were doing. The experiments were fabulous. They were fantastic. Like every time we had a breakthrough, we were just over the moon. You're showing me a red liquid like on top of lead? He said, yeah, that's the secret. It turned into gold later. With heat, yes? Yes, he says, with heat. How do you know? Because there's a paint when I was a kid. If you want gold on something, you paint this gold, this red liquid. It almost looked like blood. He says, yes, it was almost the consistency of blood. And you paint it, and then when you fire it in the kiln, at like, I don't know, like 1,000 degrees or something. I don't remember what the degrees were, but it turns into like 24 karat gold. He says, yes. And he was able to create that in his lab. That is incredible. That is incredible. I'm glad you gave me that image. I had forgotten about that paint. That was cool. All right. All right. So what would you guys have to say to a modern day alchemist that would like to repeat your experiments? Oh, Pernelle says, just connect with us. We'll tell you everything. Ooh. That's nice. She's like, what would we want to hide anything from? We did our experiments for the world, but we had to hide them from the world in the society situation we were in at the time. But now we were dead. What do we care? Okay, good. Thank you. That's really awesome and helpful. What about you, Nicholas? What do you have to say? Do you have any advice for the modern person trying to become a sorcerer or an alchemist? Just go for it. What do you have to lose? They said only your life, then they started laughing. But they said if you do this and you do it right, you're definitely going to live longer and healthier. All right. Did you guys have the secret of immortality? Well, no, obviously not, because we're dead. We passed away, obviously, so yeah, of course not. That's what Pernelle says, and she's laughing. She's a little flip about it. Nicholas says, well, we could have. We could have. He's like, we conceivably could have stayed alive, but, you know, kind of, age still will take its toll, even if we have all the right air conditions. And what's the point of living forever anyway? You can always come back, right? Did you guys know at the time that you could come back and be reincarnated? Yeah, we suspected. And he says, I was pretty sure that was the case, but I didn't really feel like I needed to live forever. Yeah. I'm there with you, Nicholas. I feel the same. I don't think I want to live forever. So, what do you guys think about the movement to the fifth dimension? We're all going to go up. Have you guys heard about this? Oh, yes, we're terribly excited, Pernelle said. We're so happy for you. This is a grand experiment. I agree. Okay, Nicholas Flamel is saying just take it easy. Breathe and keep your head about you, your wits about you while you go through the process. He says, I could see it could be very tedious. Yeah. He says, like with all the symptoms and all the things that are going on. He says, you must stay grounded and breathe. And just be aware. He says, please, guys, be aware of every moment that you're going through it. Try to remember it with a keen, sharp, concentrated mind. Because I want the details later. How was it? What did it feel like? And Pernelle's laughing at him. Oh, you. making it like so serious. But yeah, but yeah, it's super interesting, right? I agree. I do agree with that. If we're going up to the fifth dimension, I mean, no one's ever done this before. No Earthling has ever done this before. She says, Pernelle says, no Earthlings on this planet anyway. Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to thank you for your time. Would you guys want to come back and maybe do a full show with me? Oh, absolutely, Pernelle says. And Nicholas said, sure. Yes, of course. Of course. You've been a gracious host. Aw, thank you. All right. I love you guys very much. Thank you. That was my section on Nicholas Flamel and Pernelle Flamel, world famous alchemists who had the secret of the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, that we did, she said. Pernelle said. And Nicholas, yes, indeed, we did. We had it. Good. Good, good. Thank you guys very much. All right, I am now connected to Michele de Nostradame, commonly known as Nostradamus. Oh, Nostradamus died in the year 1566. He was born December 14th, 1503. So that makes you you were 63 when you passed? He says yes. I was. Now, it says that you were, well, basically in a wide variety of fields. You had a great deal of knowledge. You were a mathematician, an astrologer, physician, translator, apothecary, author, and you also had a series of psychic awakenings. He's like, that's me. Very nice. You knew Catherine de Medici? Did you say not personally? But you knew of her? And you did work for her, but not directly. Not really. Right. She wanted to keep a little bit of away. She was the wife, by the way, of King Henry II of France. Catherine de Medici. I think the Medicis, I think they were from Spain, possibly. Is that right? Yeah, I think. Okay. So, anyway, Nostradamus. You have touched the world, and since was it 1555 or so, when you first published your first book, that has not been out of print, and this is 2019. You are aware of this. He says, you flatter me, but yes, I am aware. He's a little shy to even admit that, like, yeah, it's pretty cool. He's giving me a look like, yeah, it is pretty cool, actually. You were a great wizard, weren't you? I prefer the word sorcerer, yes. But did anyone know you were doing magic? Not as such. It was a different time back then, and to admit any quote-unquote wrongdoing, he's kind of not really doing finger quotes, but he kind of put up that energy of quote-unquote. But to admit any wrongdoing in the areas of magic would definitely be a death sentence, and we were not allowed to discuss it or practice it, and it was wise just to avoid it altogether. Well, so did you? Oh, no, not at all. I did sorcery all the time. But not where anyone could see, right? Oh, no, of course not. It was always under the cover of night, under the shelter of my own abode. Yeah, I see. He said I did everything. He's like, I used potions that I made from herbs and sages. Like the sages, you mean like the sage that you get out in the field? Yes, indeed. He said, oh yeah, he purified the air. With sage, yeah, that's a good one. Native Americans use that too. It's all over the world. He said, yes, indeed. He's like, that was something that was adamant. He was adamant about keeping the air in his personal space free and clear. Now, what did this do? Of energy? Yes, he says definitely to keep the negative energy out. It was natural incense, and it was, well, it was better. It was better than... he says better to burn that and just say that you burned your supper, that you were making like a sage bird, like a roast duck or something, than to create an incense, because then the neighbors could complain and say that you were doing magic, and that would have been very, very, well, deadly. Yeah. It was a way different time back then. He says, absolutely. So in your opinion, magic is real? He said, magic is real. Why would you even ask me that? Magic is definitely most indubitably real. Why would you even... He's like, why are we even having the conversation if you know... Oh, I do believe in it, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. Oh, well, yes, indeed. Magic is absolutely 100% real. It's energy that's around you all the time. It's a divine, intelligent energy, right? Okay, okay. I want to make sure it's what you said. And it just needs to be harnessed. It can be harnessed very easily with focused concentration of your mind. See, you know what? Everyone else is saying the same thing, or along the same things about this focused concentration. Yes. Okay. He says, now when you look at the magician card in the tarot, he is concentrated and focused. He has his arm up in the air and his other arm is pointed with a wand in his hand. And that is a symbol of focused concentration. That's how you get anything you want in life. That's how I put my mind into the future to see the events that I saw. As you guys know, Nostradamus wrote, his book was a series of poems, and he had to hide it in quatrains. Like they're just, poems that kind of seemed nonsensical but were entertaining, and he had to hide it and hide his true self in a way, because he didn't want to get found out that he was actually divining the future. And he thought that it was hidden but obvious, and it wasn't. And Dolores Cannon has, we'll go over that in the future, but Dolores Cannon has a series of books about the prophecies of Nostradamus, in which her hypnosis clients started naturally channeling the Nostradamus from Nostradamus's time to explain what these quatrains mean. Now, Nostradamus, you seen before me, are not the Nostradamus of the past. He says, no, I am the past spirit. I am the spirit that has already been to the other side of the veil. It was made rent to me on the day of my death. And and he goes, and I see everything from here. It's wonderful. Yeah, it is, right? Oh. And he says it's so nice not to have the pressure of being under the constant threat of death or being found out. Even though that could have been, that was, okay, it was exciting. It was exciting, he says, but it was at the same time nerve-wracking, heart-pounding, almost like a non-stop action thriller film of today, right? He says, yes, exactly. Okay. Nostradamus. Did you ever put in your apothecary remedies magic? Oh, yes, of course I did. I would never admit it, though. Right. I couldn't. He's like, I couldn't admit it, but I tried to put a little bit of the God power in every bottle to bring people a little closer to enlightenment. I always wished upon all of my clients the power to achieve whatever level they were capable of achieving. just to get them that one step closer to God, because I had an enlightened mind and I was living in an age in which many people did not. And sometimes I'd see a spark or a light or a sliver, a little bit in their eyes. And I wanted to bring that fully, powerfully to the surface of their consciousness. I felt it was my contribution, it was my obligation to contribute to the world in that way. That was on a day-to-day basis how I could bring about the godlyhood in all. I tried to raise up everybody. You mean in vibration? He says, yes, in frequency, absolutely. I needed to raise people up, always. Now, speaking of that, Nostradamus, Michele, we are on the verge. He says, oh, I see it. You're on the precipice. He says, it's just one more step. Not more than 2 steps. You are closer to reaching the veil of my world right now. You're so close. And on that day, you're going to feel so glorious. And I can't imagine doing it in physical form to a non-corporeal or ethereal form, and the combination of the two. Ooh, it's delicious to contemplate, he says. Yeah, but indeed, that is beyond anything in my mystic imaginings, in my mind, could I see that this would be the future of humankind. Oh, it would have been in my glory if I had seen it. Oh, I just wish I could have seen this one. This would have been the ultimate prediction. But I'm so glad that I could be witnessing it from my end of things. I have an eagle eye view. He says the grand glorious sun helps you. I am in awe of you who chose to be born in this day and age, in this time, on this timeline, to experience and go through this grand transformation, the ascension of man and all humankind. It's far too brilliant for my mind ever to have contemplated that this would be the time in which anyone would live, that this was even possible. The veils between the worlds for the sorcerers and the alchemists and the apothecary physicians were always a little thinner. And we were able to see things that other people couldn't see. But what you guys are going to go, you're going to pierce that veil and you're going through it. Like a gauzy wisp of yesteryear, and it'll become just a faded memory. My God, what you're going to go through. I envy you. Oh, and I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. Oh, thank you, Nostradamus. Thank you. We were pretty excited, scared, going through a lot of physical symptoms. Yes, turn to Apothecary by all means. Use magic in any way that you can. There are many herbal remedies. It's all been written down. He's like, why aren't you guys using it? I mean, yeah, I agree. Why aren't people more using herbs and essential oils of plants? Yes, and oils. Oh, okay, he's telling me right now, if you crush lavender and rosemary, you're saying? And lemon mint grass or lemongrass? Okay. And chamomile. Any other? sage if you want, but that will change the smell. He says you take it all and you put it in a mortar and pestle, and he's showing me you crush it up, and you bruise it. Heavily bruise these plants. Mix them all in together. Fresh. Don't dry them first. Fresh. Mix them. Crush them up. Put them in olive oil. And let it sit. Make an emaciation for, you're saying 3 weeks? 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, and shake it up every day. Put it in the sun. No. Keep it in the dark, he says. In a dark cupboard. Keep it in the dark cupboard. Shake up the emaciation every day. In a month's time, it'll be fully ripened, but in 2 to 3 weeks, you can start using it for all your aches and pains, to raise your vibration. You put your magic, imbue it with your magical vibe of strength, purity, knowledge and wisdom of God divine coming through your body, your soul, purifying your heart, purifying your etheric body. And plus it'll take out the pain of arthritis. Very nice. I like that. And it'll smell lovely. He said use it after a bath. You can use it in the bath, but you don't want to waste the precious oil. It took so long to make. So you can, while your body's still wet, he's showing me just rubbing it on your skin briskly and allowing yourself to air dry. And that will fill the aroma, will fill the air around you, as well as it'll put your heart at ease, your mind at rest, and your soul on the correct path. Well, this has been very enlightening, Mr. Nostradame. Is it possible that you would want to come back and do a full show with me? Yes, absolutely. He says, I'm kind of glad I was able to just do a sample part of the show, like the sample, like the little section of the show. Yeah, I'm happy about it too. I think that we would have a lot to talk about. He says, I do indeed agree with you, my dear. Yeah. We are in accord. Very nice. Thank you, Nostradamus. Thank you for coming here to be with us tonight. He said it was my pleasure. I'm so excited. He's so excited for us. Woo! Yeah, victory to the light, right? Absolutely. Victory to the light and victory to each individual listening to this, he says. Thank you, Nostradamus. All right, guys. Now I am connected to Master Mage, Mystical Wizard, Grand Wizard, Emrys Myrddin, Emrys Myrddin. I cannot pronounce the Welsh correctly. Sorry about that. This is quite okay. At least you're trying, he says. Okay, good. Thank you. What I have for you as far as your real identity, your reputation went far into the future and sparked legends beyond legend. You told me before I started recording, you were not connected to King Arthur. Is that correct? Yeah, that is correct. I did not know him. Okay. And Camelot, he says, I don't even know where that is. But yet you, as a person, are real. Oh, I'm very real indeed, as real as any of you. Yeah, touche. Okay. He said, okay, what I read about you on the internet, he said the grand invention that. Whoever saw that coming? Yeah, I agree. It said here that you are a bard and a mystic, and that it's possible you are a Brythonic prophet, North Brythonic. He says, yeah, Britannic. Oh, sorry. I'm like trying to read the Welsh. It was written in Welsh, but he's like, yeah, the Britannic Isles, Britannic. Oh my God. Thank you. I told you I don't read Welsh. What do you want from me? Okay. Oh, North Britannic prophet, and that you are a mystic and a madman. Do you think you're a madman? He goes, do I appear angry to you at all? And he's like laughing. He's hilarious. Oh my God. He said, madman, yeah, people thought I was crazy. But were you? There was a method to my madmanness. Yeah, okay. All right, I get you. I get your vibe. I'm getting there. It says here that you were born or lived from the years 540 to 584. And you died in August of 584. Is that correct? Near as I can remember and tell, yeah, that's about right. So you came in a very, very mystical time. Yeah, magic was everywhere, huh? It's like, yeah, magic was alive. Goddess was afoot. Right. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right. Now you lived in the forests of Tweedale in the Scottish borders, right? Or the North Scottish borders? So yeah, as such. All right, okay. Grand Merlin. You're a little upset when I call you that, Grand Merlin. Yeah, okay. He's like, you make it sound like I'm part of a show. And there's so many shows made about me. Like, you mean like programs on TV? Yeah, he's like the movies. And he goes, why did I become so famous? I don't get it. I don't understand. He's like, I was just myself. I was a little madcap. Maybe a little crazy, I suppose, compared to other people. But everybody did folk magic in that time. It wasn't a thing. It was a way of life. Everybody had magic, or at least imagined that they had magic. And in a way, everybody does have magic. Everybody, even living today. When you have a big spark of the great divine inside you as your soul, of course, you have magic. Everybody has it. Not just in your blood as a magicking witch, as a part of a magicking witch family or a witching family. Everybody has magic in their soul. It's the body that doesn't matter. When you die, the body is made rent and you go asunder. Your body goes asunder. You go to the land of the thunder. You go to the land above all the lands. And then you look to the world down under, which is the world in which you reside right now. Whoa, that's deep. That's deep, Merlin. Says you may call me Emrys if you please. Merlin or Emrys, I go by both. All right, good. I like Emrys. Emrys is a nice name. Thank you very much. I'll let my mom know. Very good. Okay. Somebody else said that to me when I channeled them recently. I can't remember who said that, but okay. Now, Merlin, I have a weird memory from one of my past lives in which I was a virgin and they were going to sacrifice me to feed the dragon so that the dragon would leave the villagers alone. And I want to, I was in love with somebody and I was supposed to be stayed a virgin so I could be sacrificed. And when I found that out, Of course, I fornicated immediately under a bridge so that they could no longer feed me to a dragon. He says, well, obviously, right? That's a weird past life memory that I have. And now I'm asking you, did you live in a world in which dragons existed? Yes, indeed. Were they magical creatures? Magical, yes. Real, yes. Okay, I'm like doing the muscle testing, guys, because this is something that everybody's always wanted to know. I mean, I do believe in dragons. I did see physically with my eyes, not my third sight, but with my eyes 2 years ago in Peru. I saw a dragon. I was in awe of it, but scared the hell out of me because, my God, it's a real animal. You best believe it's a real animal. Yes, it's a real animal. But were they all killed? No, they go dormant. And do you know a lot about dragons? He goes, I knew a little. Okay, so, I mean, you know that you're like associated with knowing dragons, right? He's like, oh yes, the legends grew over the years. So you didn't work with dragons a whole lot. Not as such, no. Did you think that it was easy to like possibly go talk to them or have a magical commune with the dragon? It's probably a little more difficult than communing with like a dog or a cat. Okay, yeah, right, obviously. So he said, but they were a mystical force in our world, but we accepted that they existed. Some men set out on quests to murder them in their caves while they slept, and dared call themselves fearless and brave, and brought their bravado back to the tavern where they can turn their stories into drink quite quick. You seem like you're a little mad about that now, Merlin, Emrys. You feel like that's... He's like, how fair is that? To kill a sleeping animal just so you can live on those stories for the next week. So you're saying that people also like lived in the taverns, like in beds in the taverns. Oh yeah, they were tavern houses. Wow. So it's like a hotel today. He's like, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Oh, wow. And he said they wouldn't even wash their swords off. They would, oh, that's gross. Yeah, to show the blood so people touch the blood of the dragon, and then that would be, that would become like a mystical source of magic, and then they could sell that, and that was just very popular in the day. Interesting. This is basically, they're just lizards that flew around and they were huge. So why don't we have them today? He goes, oh, you do, but they keep well hidden. They're afraid of man. They've adapted. Ah. And now, is there a thing where they're like only, maybe they have a long incubation period of like a couple hundred years? It's like, sure. He's like, it's possible. I'm not a biologist or something. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Let's get off the dragon topic. He goes, yeah, let's. Okay, fine. Sorry. I'm like super interested in dragons and dragonology and all of it, but he's like, I could tell. Okay. So what kind of magic did you practice in your day? Okay. He's like, mostly potions that were liquid, and it was made from oils or waters from sacred springs, flowers in bloom that were never touched by human hands. So you had like a scythe to cut them. Oh, yes, yes. He said we had like a magical scythe, or like it's like a knife that, or like a sickle. It's like a knife that's rounded, so as not to scare the fairy spirits. So you worked with nature spirits too. He says, oh yes, all the elementals, water, you couldn't cross a water path without asking permission and giving honor and due respect. We had a great deal of respect of all the magical elementals in the world at that time. Fairies in the air, the trees, the tree spirits. The Celtics and the Druids were very adamant that we honor every part of nature. We had a great deal of reverence and love for everything. Even the rocks have a spirit. Even the dirt beneath your feet has an energy and a vibration. It all comes from the Creator, and as such, we have to revere it. I don't think people in your world do revere it. Yeah, I don't think so either. They don't know to revere it. They've lost the knowledge. Yes. And therefore, they've lost the magic. Yes, I agree with that. Okay. So, Merlin. Yes, my dear, he says. How powerful were you really? He said, I was so powerful that my legend grew and grew until 1,500 years later, you guys are still talking about me. All right, yes, fair enough. Did you cast a spell so that would happen? He's like, oh, of course not. What do I want? Fame, it didn't get me anything. I'm not even in your world anymore. I'm dead. I died. It didn't really get me anything, the fame. But it's kind of flattering and fun that it happened. And if my story can cast magical, mystical awareness among all the little children of your world today, what harm could it have done? It brought about a great deal of strength and unity among the people that never wanted to let go of the magic, who did have it in their blood. So you're saying that there really are magic in families? Oh, yes, absolutely. But I don't want anyone to be deterred if they don't come from a magicking family as such. Because we're all equally powerful, especially in the eyes of the Lord, and God can grant you your powers as well. Yeah. I agree with that. Honestly, I do agree with that, Merlin. So, I don't know. I mean, what else did you work with? He says, I worked with elixirs. Okay, what's an elixir? He says it's distilled with grain alcohol, like what you would say would be like whiskey. But he says, but we used like wine or honey wine. It would make an emaciation, like a maceration with the plants. From full moon to full moon, and then you filter it out. And then we would pop a gem in there. Okay, got it. Like a crystal. He said, yeah, he's showing me an amethyst, or a citrine, or a pure crystal, and he's showing me like a turquoise colored stone. He said, yes, and everyone had a different vibration. Not only does every crystal have a different magical property and quality, but every individual crystal, like this amethyst might be more for love, but that amethyst might be more for spiritual and psychic healing. See, when you fine-tune your awareness to each individual rock that you're touching, it becomes a lot more meaningful than if you grab a handful of white crystals saying that these crystals do that. Or this flower does this, because some flowers have more the light of the sun in them, while some flowers have more of a shade. Some flowers have the energy of the animals that surrounded them, while some flowers have the energy of a tree that was next to them when from whence they grew. You have to keep an open mind to everything that you work with. Everything is an individual. You're only now learning on your world that every person is an individual. For the most part, you've been dividing the world up into Romans and Protestants, or white and brown, or men, women, and then children become a third category. What is that? When everything is unique, not just every person, but everything is unique, individual unto itself. He said every tree has its own personality. Every rock has its own knowledge. Every crystal harbors its own secrets and its own special images inside. You have to unlock the knowledge and the power by unleashing the creativeness and the emotions within, and your brain has to open, and you have to understand everything is not as how it has seemed to you throughout your life. Every individual thing has a power all unto itself, like you do. Every star in the sky twinkles with a little bit of a different frequency. And it might be ever so slight that you hardly notice, unless you know how to tune into the energies. You are a sovereign being in and of yourself. You must always know that. Claim it. You have a right to your own sovereignty and your own individualness inside. Your heart beats to its own rhythm, does it not? Your soul flies, lilting on the air as a feather, at a different altitude as any other feather. Your head can pick up signals inside. Your brain, you've got frequencies, you've got crystals. You have little tiny crystalline forms in your blood, and it can pick up signals from all around, and you've got to fine-tune the crystals inside yourself. In your etheric body, your spiritual body, there's crystals inside you on different dimensions. You are a multi-faceted diamond, a multi-dimensional self. This is the biggest thing I can tell you guys tonight. Each blade of grass has its own personality. Now that you know that, you've got a whole nother world to discover tomorrow now, don't you? Oh, indeed we do, Merlin. I think you have opened up everybody's minds, eyes, and ears in a way that we never thought before. He said, does not all the clouds in the sky, do they not all have a different shape and a different form? Do they not all dissipate at a different rate? Because their personalities are different. They're different individuals. Start noticing the individuality in everything and loving the uniqueness of each thing. That is in and of itself part of the true magic. Know your sovereign power and recognize the individuality of every living thing. And know that everything, even the clouds and the rocks, are living. Each individual atom is living. It comes from a living being we call the Creator, the one God that created himself into many gods, that created themselves into many more gods, that created themselves into people. Don't you understand? tune the antenna that is your spirit to find the discerning qualities of every living thing. Know and understand that I am Merlin. I have seen beyond the veil and back. I am grateful to be here with you guys tonight. With all you fine folk, you fine feathered people, he said. To teach you something you did not know. Thank you, Merlin, thank you. Will you come back? As such, of course I shall come back. Because I have never left. I am as close to you as your heartbeat, and sneaking upon you faster than your own shadow. You but need to whisper my voice, your voice upon the wind, with my name upon it, Emrys upon your lips, and I shall be there at your side to help you, to guard and to guide. I'm always bowing to your will because it is the same will we share. The will of God is always in the air. And I will always be here, as will you. We shall rule this kingdom as two, because we're all just one being, actually. But when you call my name, it is me that I see, and that's why I say that we are two. Even though you are me and I am you. I think we're going to end there, Merlin, but thank you so much. I'm going to have you come back on the show. Is that okay? Yes, please do, he says. He's got tears in his eyes. I could feel his great love of humanity. And his spirit was so big when he was alive that for 1,500 years we're still mentioning his name. Thank you. Thank you, Mage, Master, Wizard, Sorcerer, Merlin. He's like, just call me Emrys. Thank you, Emrys. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. Some information, man, I went deep. I went deep into trance. I'm going to have to listen to this for the first time myself later after I publish this, because I don't remember a whole lot from these conversations. I get very deep and I connect with these spirits and I channel that, and I try to keep my own individuality, which would make Master Merlin very happy. I try to keep that about me while I'm asking the questions, but some of these sages and mages, my gosh, their energy is overwhelming and powerful. So strong. Merlin overwhelmed me. I'm still actually connected with him because I'm going to add his music to his section next, and then I have to reconnect with everybody else, and everybody gets to pick their own music when I do the channeling, because music has a different vibration and energy, and every individual person wants to be represented accurately to the best in which, to the best of my ability to provide something that has the same vibe as them, because it kind of adds more to the show and, just to the whole energetic experience as a whole. But this is fun, actually. I'm going to try to do this again, another round table, if you will. Even though beautiful Merlin was never connected to King Arthur. And those are made-up characters in a story, loosely based on actual people. But I'm going to try to, in the coming months, I'm going to try to do this maybe once a month, maybe twice. Twice a month might be fun. This one had been in the making for about a week. I've been thinking about it. God gave me the idea, and this morning he said, okay, today's the day you're channeling everybody. Oh, wow, how fun is this? It's very good. Very good indeed. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'm not going to keep you any longer. I love every one of you. I'm glad we're on this journey together, going through the spaceship Earth, hurtling now into the photon belt, as it were, and dimensionally up into the fifth as we let go of our dross of our physical bodies and we go up and become crystalline forms, keeping our souls and our wits about us and our hearts and minds intact. It's quite an undertaking. I mean, this is the greatest magic that has ever been performed, and on a grand scale, on a collective conscious scale. I don't know about you guys, but I'm proud of us. It's pretty cool. So, I wish you well. I bid you adieu. But right now, I'm signing off with peace and love and magic and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.